Hi, I'm Danielle May, an A-level media student at the Billericay School Sixth Form. The course this year was to select a brief with two ancillary tasks that meant our products branched through different media platforms. I chose to create a music video promoting a new upcoming artist, as well as a magazine advertisement and a digipack for the album. Democratisation and cross-media convergence have enabled me to move on from being a consumer to a prosumer. But it's not a new concept for me, as last year I created a media product which was a simple 3-minute opening sequence where my understanding of the digital technology was still limited and fresh. But now I am no longer a novice in this area, and this year has been about me developing my creative use of the media technologies available, as my skills and knowledge of using the prosumer level tools has increased. Firstly, I created a focus group on the social networking site Facebook as part of my research and planning. I did this because I included some of my peers who could be a possible target audience for my product due to their age, demographics and psychographics. As well as this, their feedback would help give me more of an insight into conventions for my product with what my audience would say they expected to see. Creating a group on a website which doesn't limit people to passive viewing allows them to leave me feedback on things I posted in there, which they could do either online or using the Facebook app on their smartphones. A way in which I used my focus group for research was by asking them questions on just general music videos and filming these live sessions. I had them all sit together for this, and after I had them listen to various songs by my chosen artist. And here I used my Canon 600D, which I purchased from PC World, and a 16GB memory card. I edited my footage from this using the software Final Cut Express and then exporting it using QuickTime Conversion to upload it to the blogging website Tumblr, which was being used to showcase all of my work. I used the video sharing website YouTube a great deal for my research. One example is when I found an interview with Lana Del Rey talking about her album Born to Die. She talks about her interpretations, emotions and meaning behind some of her songs, which I thought was really important research because I wanted to make sure that I was portraying the right emotions within my narrative. This is another piece of research that I used Final Cut for, as I cut this interview to the specific section to then upload it to Tumblr as evidence. YouTube's helped me understand conventions of music videos when I did textual analysis of existing media products. Whilst I was doing this, I came across David McClister, who was the director for Lady Antebellum's Need You Now video. I found a link to his website where there was an interview with him discussing what it was like being a director for music videos, which was really interesting, as some of the issues he had on set were aspects to consider when filming myself. Another website that I found was Dina Goldstein's, who is a contemporary artist. She uses intertextuality of Disney fairy tale princesses, but in a modern and realistic style. This was extremely relevant for me, as I wanted to use these intertextual references within my narrative. After this, I used Google Images to create a mood board using GIFs of various princesses. I went back to this mood board for planning when considering my costume choices, and ended up having my actress in prom dresses which resembled princess dresses. Cross-media convergence has allowed me to use the online streaming website letmewatchthis.com to stream episodes of The Simpsons. This was because this TV series is renowned for all of its intertextual references which are accessible to a mass audience of any age and gender. When I chose my song Born to Die by Lana Del Rey, I then chose to do research into Great Gatsby, so I chose to watch Baz Luhrmann's 2013 Great Gatsby film. This was so I could see how the film set in the 1920s represented women and love, as I was portraying vintage 20s theme within my narrative. I had to do my research for all my products parallel to each other. For example, I did one other piece of filming as part of my research and planning, which is when I got onto the casting choices for my music video. Ellie Bones fit the image I was hoping for, so during the audition process, where I took some still shots of people, I chose to film Ellie answering a series of questions as though she was my chosen artist. By doing this, I could see if she was comfortable in front of the camera, how well she acted and things like that, and I got to practice with angles on my camera and editing before actually going on to film. The still images that I took of Ellie were to set me off on my magazine advertisement and digipack product. And these were edited using the software Photoshop, just using a simple grayscale artistic effect and altering the brightness and contrast. There are many different designs that I found of so many different magazine advertisements for different artists and different genres, so I made a PowerPoint and took screenshots and then uploaded them to my Facebook focus group, and I got their opinions as their age group is my target audience, so I wanted to know which designs they were most attracted to. The most hands-on creative part of creating a media product is the construction of it. I knew that creating a music video would be the most time-consuming, so I began this first. So the same as last year, I used my Canon 600D. However, the way in which I improved the quality of my filming this year was being more experienced in using the camera. So I changed the settings from auto to manual. whilst also stepping up in the size of my memory card from a 16GB to a 32, as I knew that I would have a lot more footage this time around. Additionally, mainly for the two ancillary products, I used an additional lens I purchased, also at PC World, which is an EF 50mm f1.8 lens, which is used when focusing on aperture and depth of field in an image. The biggest challenge here is obviously being able to use the manual settings correctly on this camera. I mainly focused on altering the aperture, affecting the depth of field, ISO and white balance, as I knew I could edit either different tones or effects onto the footage during post-production using Final Cut. So Filming Diary 2 is a post about my filming experience shooting at night with my actress for a variety of shots for my narrative. Here is where my skills using the manual ISO settings was demonstrated. As I was filming at night, I used external artificial lighting, a high-powered flashlight, to create a spotlight effect within the mise-en-scene of the shot. With my new knowledge on the effects of altering the ISO, I knew that if I attempted to use a high ISO, for example the highest on my camera is 6400, to allow as much light in the shot as possible, the footage would appear very grainy, which would not have been aesthetically pleasing at all, as it would have been quite a dark shot anyway. So therefore, I had my ISO count at 800 and changed to 200 when I was shooting close-up shots, as I could get the external light much closer to the subject. The end result was really pleasing to me. The footage was not too dark at all, and I ended up with footage where my actress was completely lit, surrounded in darkness, which looked really stylised and was praised by my focus group. As I was creating a hybrid, both performance and narrative, for the performance aspect I would need my actress to lip sync and do it well to get a professional look. The digital technology used here was my Windows 8 laptop, iTunes and external speakers. I had already downloaded my chosen song through iTunes, so played it through my iTunes library through the external speakers that I had. This was so that Ellie could sing along and get the timing of the lip syncing correctly. And I knew that with this project I would be taking on the role of director and cameraman. So by using really accessible contemporary digital technology, I could focus on getting the right shots and having fluid camera movements such as panning and tracking. When I was doing all of this, I had someone take pictures of me and my actress working on my iPhone 5. This is another clear example of cross-media convergence. For the construction of my ancillary tasks, I used my secondary lens, the 50mm f1.8 lens, for better control of aperture and depth of field. I was shooting extreme close-up shots for the image inside the album and was using the close-up settings on my camera. I wanted shallow depth of field within my shots because there is great aesthetic appeal with the detail it captures in the pixels, so I made the aperture smaller. I took all of my shots handheld as I could get a much wider array of camera angles due to the varied LCD screen feature on my camera that rotates 270 degrees. The LCD screen was vital when I was shooting images of burning candles, as I didn't want to get too close due to health and safety risks. So this feature on my camera helped me take effective shots, but safely. What I then focused on first was editing my music video. So after transferring my files from my 16 and 32GB memory cards to an external hard drive, I uploaded them to Final Cut Express to begin cutting and manipulating the footage. Like demonstrated last year, my love for slow motion and time-lapse is still evident. I've used this technique a lot in my music videos. The example behind me is where I carefully cut and edited the shot, the apple falling down the stairs, so that it was in time with the beat of the song. My focus group picked up on this a lot and said how effective they thought it was. Additionally, I increased the speed of some of the clips to an extensive amount to create a fast zoom, suddenly engaging my viewers and match the change in pace of the song. One clip in particular was increased 600%, and originally I'd filmed the shot very slow to create a fluid motion. As well as this, the shot was actually filmed zooming out of her face. However, I thought that the effect of reversing this clip on Final Cut was much more engaging. And an example of when I slowed down a clip is the moment my actress is presented with the apple. This is so the audience has time to pick up on the clear intertextual reference to Snow White, but it also helps to build tension as well. Another creative decision was the choice to incorporate titles within my music video, which isn't conventionally shown, but I ended up thinking that it would be appropriate for my music video because the long instrumental introduction and the opening shot that I had chosen, which was a time-lapse zooming up towards the house. I had the option to use live type, but chose to stick to using Final Cut to create simplistic titles and included a cross-dissolve effect to allow them to blend in at the same time as the shot. I used the software Photoshop for the post-production of my ancillary tasks, and like I said previously, I'm not all that familiar with Photoshop and immediately was confronted with an issue. As I was attempting to open some of my files onto Photoshop, I was receiving the message,
"Could not complete your request because an unknown or invalid JPEG marker type is found."
So I resulted in uploading the image to Facebook, then downloading it and saving it to my desktop to then import to Photoshop, which worked perfectly and the quality was not damaged at all. In order to help me navigate effectively around the software and find different tools and their purpose, I use YouTube tutorials to guide me through the process. The educational videos are step-by-step visual tutorials. For example, I've learned how to use the blur and smudge tool effectively to blend in different tones within an image to then create a smooth look, and also remove the harsh edges when I have used the magnetic lasso tool to cut around an image. The colour corrector tool allowed me to change the colour of the roses to match my colour scheme. I am also now able to select multiple layers and make them a smart object for organisation during editing. I use the social networking site Facebook a lot during the post-production of my auxiliary tasks, as I had many different designs and found it challenging trying to select the best images. My focus group gave me constructive criticism and analysis and helps me narrow down my decisions for my final designs. I posted any creative changes into my Facebook focus group to receive their feedback as part of the evaluation process. I used my iPhone by using the voice memo app to record feedback with my teachers. To upload this to Tumblr as further evidence, I had to email the file to my personal email and then download the link and then upload it. To summarise, the digital technology I have been able to use is an example of the benefits of democratisation, as so much more technology is becoming accessible to consumers. Cross-media convergence allows us to access and manipulate the different media platforms in various stages of production. The Web 2.0 concept, popularised by Tim O'Reilly in 2004, describes worldwide websites that emphasises user-generated content and usability. The Web 2.0 sites allow users to interact with each other in social media dialogue, contrasting to websites where people are limited to the passive viewing of content. Examples of Web 2.0 sites applicable to me are YouTube, Facebook and Tumblr, which are the social media sites used to showcase my work to a wider audience. My knowledge and understanding of new digital technology is ever growing with the constant development and increase in the technology available to the public.